Hello! Welcome to my second and final thrilling instalment of my October wrap-up. I know everyone's desperate to hear the rest of the books that I read. And I'm going to start with an absolutely amazing whoop whoop book, and that is The Courage to Curb by Christy Watson. Now, Christy is a UK NHS nurse. She wrote The Language of Kindness previously. And in this book, Christy talks about the different types of nurses and the different areas that they work in. So she draws on some of her experience as a student nurse when you get different placements and you go visiting different areas of practice. And then she also visited different nurses for the book as well. So it was like prison nurse and military nurse, just to get like this complete different view of the job. And what she was, I guess what the point of it all was, is that, well, firstly, nursing is a difficult profession. It is. You have to have what she says, the courage to care. And that is because every single area of nursing, there will be difficulties that you come across, whether that is that you are working with difficult patients, I guess people that aren't likeable, I want to say, which sounds mean, but the kind of patient where they're very difficult and they're very challenging, and they are quite resistant. And I mean, she discusses a case where somebody was so incredibly racist to a black nurse and a doctor, I think from Pakistan, to difficulties that are more with the system and the external kind of environment. So things such as funding and resources, equipment, time, etc. And so nurses have to have some kind of resilience within them to be able to continue doing this job. So it kind of shows people that it's not just like, oh yeah, let's put a dressing on a wound, here's some medication, off you go. It's very holistic. You've got no choice. I mean, these are people, so you've got no choice to get drawn into other people's lives. It's very rare to come across a patient that is just simple and straightforward and you're done, off you go. There's things like housing, family, relationship issues, financial issues. There's all sorts that can go wrong. And Christy talks about how it's essential that people realise that is actually what nursing is. Nursing is about the whole person and the family and the relatives, not just the actual clinical skills that you get taught. And yeah, the book is just incredible. And yeah, so that is a 5-star rating from me. I do have The Language of Kindness on my TBR. I actually own the book just over there and I've had it for quite some time and just never got around to reading it. But I loved Christy's writing and I think I'm going to definitely push it up the TBR a little bit. Next, we've got The Rats by James Herbert. I was so excited to read this book. I've had it for a while, and I did kind of go through a phase of anytime I saw vintage type horror from like the 70s and 80s in charity shops and places like that, then I would always pick it up. And this is actually the first one I've got round to reading. So this is all about like a plague of giant rats. So you've still got your normal rats in the group, I don't know what you call it, but then you've got these giant, like the size of a small dog type rats, and they are the ones that have no fear of humans, and they'll just eat humans. But not only that, if you get a bite from one of these rats, even if they don't eat you and you escape and survive, you don't actually survive, because within a couple of days you've died from this weird like super fast deterioration disease thing that you catch. And I did enjoy the book, and this sounds weird because obviously there is some kind of like suspension of belief needed anyway, but it was even more so because the kind of like hero of the story is just a school teacher. He's not like military, or he's not even pest control, so he's got no experience of rats or killing them or anything. But somehow he manages to end up on the military government planning team to get rid of these rats, and he comes up with like an idea to kill them, and everybody just goes along with it. But yeah, so there is a bit of gruesomeness, there's a bit of gore, there's people being eaten and bitten and blah blah blah, and it was, bizarrely, from everything I read, this is the one that I actually dreamt about. I dreamt about giant rats running around town. However, I wasn't scared. I was just like driving past, pointing them out to my parents who were in the car. I don't know. So I can't say it was scary. I can't say it gave me nightmares, but it definitely stuck inside my brain somewhere. Yeah, I gave that 4 stars. I did enjoy it, and there is it's a trilogy, so yeah, when I get my hands on the next 2 I will be reading them, and so I guess that's a spoiler in the fact that if there's more, they definitely didn't kill them all off in this book. Next up is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I feel like everybody in the world has read this before me, so you all know what it's about probably, but I'm going to tell you anyway, just in case. So this is like a haunted house type story. We've got a woman called Maggie, and when she was a child, her family bought and moved into this big house in a new town, and all these like weird creepy things were happening to the point where they thought that Maggie's life was in danger, and the family just upped and fled. Like, they left everything behind. They just escaped from the house. And her dad then went on to write a book that then became like this massive bestseller, go like, you know, like a non-fiction ghost story, and they became really famous and rich and things like that. Maggie is in her 20s when we start the story, and she finds out that she's inherited this house. She doesn't believe in any of it. She is complete skeptic. She, you know, ghosts don't exist, the creepiness didn't exist, her dad just made it all up for a book. So she goes back planning to renovate the house and sell it for, you know, just to get rid. She doesn't want to live there. And then all these weird creepy things start happening. In fact, some of the things that are happening are almost exactly as her dad wrote them, you know, 20 years before. And so she starts like, is it real? Is it not real? You know, am I losing the plot here? What's going on? Is somebody, you know, setting me up, kind of thing? And she starts becoming suspicious of other people who live in the area. And there was some fantastic twists in this. I'm not normally a ghost story type person or a haunted house, but I think because of the fact that it could be like a person, an actual real person that's doing all this stuff, it did make it a bit more creepy. And I did embarrassingly find myself, I got up late at night, and I'd been reading for a good couple of hours, stuck in the book, and I got up, went for a drink, and then I absolutely legged it up the stairs as fast as possible to get back to the bedroom where the light was on because I was frightened in the dark on my own. So embarrassing. But yeah, so it did kind of give you that experience and all the feelings and the atmosphere. It was creepy, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 stars, and I cannot wait to read another Riley Sager book this month. Next up is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar, and this is a YA horror. I listened to the audiobook and I ended up rating it average, so I gave it 3 stars. I didn't hate it, but I didn't particularly like really enjoy it. So you've got a group of teens within this small town, and they're like obsessed with social media. They're always vlogging things, you know, putting stuff on the internet, and doing crazy stuff around their town, and then videoing it and you know, kind of, I guess, making a mockery of the town, really. And the adults within the town, they are just like pissed off with this. And they've even done things like recording teachers having a go at a kid, and then they kind of name and shame them on the internet and stuff like that. And it ends up turning into like this kind of teen slasher movie type thing, but a book. So you've got like this group of teens that are at an event, and somebody starts killing them off, and it is very much a type thing, you know, like you can imagine this killer running around in the dark stabbing teenagers and everything, and it does get a bit unrealistic, and especially when you find out who the killer is, you're just like, really? Yeah, it was alright. I can't even tell you that much about it, because it just, there was nothing stand out about it. It was just meh, I guess. Which is odd, really, because it was so hyped up. I've seen so many people hype this book up on YouTube and Instagram, and I just don't get the fascination with it, to be honest. And I listened to The Birthday Girl by Sue Fortin. This is one of those, like, I guess closed in type of thrillers. So a group of women who are all friends, they head up for a birthday weekend away to this like really remote cabin. And even though they're friends, there's some kind of like underlying tensions, and they've all got secrets from each other. And over the course of the weekend, these secrets are coming out, and there's arguments, and things just escalate when one of them dies, and they're all trying to figure out which of the other one is the killer. And then things just get even more crazy when somebody else turns up at the cabin, and there's a lot of twists and turns in this, especially ones that I didn't even see. In fact, that's just me with thrillers all over. I don't see them coming. I was completely like, oh, what, really? It was them? What? But there was nothing stand out about it. It was just a bog standard thriller. So I ended up, in the end, giving it a 3-star rating. Even though I enjoyed it, there was just nothing special about it. And the last book that I want to tell you about is The Nesting by C.J. Cook. This, again, is a thriller set in a really remote location. This is set in Norway, and we've got a young woman called Lexi, who, right from the beginning, she's a morally grey character. She has some mental health issues as well, and so that makes the whole thing then, like, she's just unreliable when you're going through the story. So you get this kind of like constant mental battle as you're reading of, is this really happening? Can I trust what she's saying? You know, or is she making it up? Is she interpreting things wrong? She gets a job as a nanny over in Norway for these 2 young girls, and their mother died not long prior to her getting this job. But when she's over there, she starts to learn things and hear things and discover things that lead her to think that possibly the mother didn't commit suicide, which is the story everybody got, that maybe she was murdered by somebody. And so she's trying to sort of investigate that, whilst also looking after the girls, and then trying to figure out her own life as well, which was pretty crap before she went to Norway. And it's got this like really creepy, spooky vibes to it. There is like, you're not sure if there's something supernatural going on at times. So I just kind of spent the vast majority of the book like, what's going on? Like, really? Oh my god. And it was just constantly, it just felt like every couple of chapters there was like, what? And not in a disbelief way, but in a like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening kind of way. And then there'd be like, you know, a bit more evidence found, and you'd be like, yeah, it's definitely that person, definitely. And then it turns out they found out it's definitely not them, and I'd be like, oh well, it's definitely that person, and it wasn't them. I'm shit at this game, by the way. And so we got to the end, and I discovered who it was, and I was like, what? No way! I did not see that coming in a million years. I feel like that's me with every thriller though. So yeah, so it was like a really good twist, really great in it. Like, I was really engaged in the story because I was trying to figure it out with her as the story went along, and like a whodunit kind of thing. I was really engaged in the story, really interested. And yeah, so I ended up rating this 4 stars. Did really enjoy it. I would definitely read another book by that author again based on that one. And that's all the books that I read in October. So thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon. Bye!